If you want to journey into memory and imagination, Robert Corless has music to travel with. A collection of instrumental pieces titled 50. 50 won't give you perfect recall, though if you stay with it, you certainly will arrive at some poignant street corners and long-lost cafe tables of your own memory. This collection is not for restless ears still wedded to the idea of an LP as a variety showcase, but it will enchant patient listeners who know how to read a map of related moods and explore the differences and continuities, the nuances and the resonances. In a series of haunted interiors and echoing landscapes, Corless makes it easy, almost compulsory, to go inwards towards experiences you'd never throw away, nor even repress, but which you definitely placed in your emotional cupboard under the stairs. Don't worry, there's no Freudian teeth-grinding against the wall psychodrama here. Far from it. 50 is more of a meditation on the gentle melancholy of what the world takes to keep turning. With 49 solo albums to his credit, Corless might be mistaken for a man who holds nothing in reserve. So, listeners might be surprised at the restraint he exhibits here. Let's talk about what he leaves out, because absence is a very important part of what he's doing in 50. Firstly, lyrics are entirely absent, though the title suggests situations, atmospheres and narratives. She packed her bags for Blackpool. Straw heart, there will always be rocks in the road. The closing title announces that whatever was pursued and sometimes captured, success was always the greatest enemy. Occasionally, the solution to enmity is the riskiest of all: trust. In trusting the listener to use their imagination, to expand into the spaces where lyrics might be expected, Corless succeeds in saying much more by saying an awful lot less. Once you familiarise yourself with the territory of 50, you realise that, in this soundscape, adding lyrics would be like erecting advertising billboards for the Lake District in the Lake District. He trusts the spaces to speak for themselves, and darkly and eloquently they speak volumes. The second notable absence is percussion, or at least not one drum from start to close. There are very few hard markers of a beat, except some sparse piano work and a very discreetly plucked guitar. Without the anchor of a rhythm section, the rolling synthesizers trawl in long arcs and filter sweeps through overtones both metallic and organic in their timbres. Against these, the melodic notes are sparse and bright, like fishing floats marking unseen nets below the waves. Some listeners might find the equal measures and steady pace too tranquil and hope for an occasional rhythmic jolt or ornament, but to my ears it's precisely the steadiness of pace in 50 which generates the optimum space for the listener's own explorations. It's a quietly courageous collection, brave to sustain the thoughtful mood for so long, which is around 50 minutes on the clock, though the collection emphatically says that not all time is measured in minutes, and distances are measured in more than miles. So, lyrics and percussion is what 50 doesn't do. Let's say what it does. It's austere, almost monastic at times, and what it's very good at is enchanting, both in terms of casting its spells and nets of memory, and also in the tranquil, mournful feel of religious chant. The rising sense of light and hope after a long night, with the upper synthesizer register resembling a choir, and then the descent is renewed, but with an acceptance rather than depression. I say monastic austerity because, as with a monastery, important work is going on here. The patient, totally necessary work of making sense of a world where having priorities means that something valuable always has to be left behind. Pieces such as They Cease to Be Mind, with its ice-drop piano notes framed by warm harmonics, seem to reassure us that loss is nobody's fault. That's just how life is, and there's no point raging against fate or growing bitter. Sinister, but softly sinister and without malice, the world conjured by 50 is familiar to all of us, but also uncanny. At times, Corless's wide and smooth arrangements suggest empty motorways and airport lounges, though never in that celebratory 20th century register of Kraftwerk or Brian Eno. No. On the contrary, these pieces carry a sense of mild but sustained unease and expectation, of urgent though indistinct needs, or of an everyday domestic situation turning stranger by the minute. As the writer Austin Collins said of the works, something superb and fabulous is going on. You're hearing machines at home through the walls of your bedroom, and they're alive, as in, actually alive. Quite so. It's a sonic analogue of those strange, fleeting moments when a mirror catches you off guard, and what you see is not quite yourself, or at least not how you remembered yourself. And thus you learn something new. At times, 50 could even be interpreted as breakup music, for people breaking up with their past, with themselves, with their plans for the future. Which means there's hope for new futures too. For although the music seems to announce that you have to laugh at your old self and your old dreams to move forwards at all, it's never cynical laughter, it's from the heart. Everything pulses, everything passes, dreams pass, memories pass. But the memories last longer, and if you're lucky, they taste sweeter than the dreams. Every woman who was ever the girl dreaming she'd be a top lawyer, marry a movie star, never divorce and have 2 perfect children. Every man who was ever the boy watching movies while cuddling a plastic gun and dreaming of having some power to resist the violence of the world. Every inner child who packed their holiday bags 7 weeks before the ticket date, this music is for you. And best of all, it won't scorn you for your memories of those hopes. Stoically, and with humanity, it gestures to the big gaps between what we once wished to become and what the world and the people around us co-created with us, which is still very much worth having. There will always be rocks in the road. But in pieces such as It's Time to Hit the Road, Elizabeth, there are signs in the road too, signs of rising hope, perhaps even joy, though Corless is too wise to accelerate into giddy euphoria. This bittersweet maturity emerges from all of these interior landscapes of separation and departure. In Success Has Always Been the Greatest Enemy, the rising chord progression heads towards a sense of redemption, then undercuts itself with a restless minor resolution and concludes with a tolling, as of slightly cracked funeral or perhaps even victory bells. Soulful, thoughtful, but not overwrought, the music flows freely from its source with zero worries about how an audience might receive it. I think valuable music is often the very opposite of music which is precious about itself, and this is especially so in synthesizer works and notable in the work of an older and wiser artist who's not going to hurry along for anyone because they don't have to. It's like a good slow food restaurant. 50 doesn't need a sign saying if you prefer McDonald's, you know where the door is. It avoids the other extreme of perfectly polished and neurotically clean production, which in many cases can leach out the more interesting and unplanned interactions between synthesized sounds. He doesn't over-process any of the sound, he does enough work to get it right, serves it straight up. And that, as Orson Welles said, is style. Style is knowing who you are, what you want to say, and not giving a damn. A veteran of the art of throwing spanners in the works can afford to throw them gently, almost casually. No need for atomic snares and distortion pedals, though Corless can do all that and more when he wants to. He clearly doesn't want to, not here, not now. He's stepped away from the business, the hustle, the booze, the mither, to assess and enjoy what time has made apparent and what time has dissolved. 50 albums, and that's just his solo work. He's come a long way. Life is a toll road. It takes something off you for every mile you travel. And if there's a message here, it's that hard work and ambition and moving fast are all fine things. But the real trick is keeping the ego slim enough so that the passing scenery and signs of success don't slice too much off your genuine self while you whistle past them. Past them towards what? Corless doesn't explain. He doesn't have to. It's the job of scientists and the police to solve puzzles and explain things. The point of art and music is different. The point is to deepen the mystery. And that's what 50 does.